We first met, I met you underneath the Queensboro Bridge. You at the time were jerking off punks for $15 a man.
My whole family's watching, man. My grandmother.
Your family doesn't know that when you were a young man, you used to jerk off punks for $15 a man? But Adam Egan, this is a true story. And he's straight as an arrow. But for money,
he's not even looking at you.
In New York City.
He's allowed to tell.
Oh, should I tell this story?
Yes!
In New York City, he used to jerk off punks under the Queensboro Bridge, $15 a man. But this is dance like no one is watching, sing like no one is listening, love like you've never been hurt, and fuck like a goddamn retard. Some gold-plated chains would make a nice retirement gift for a very, very good slave. College freshman Scott Damerow, Larry, set a new world record by using his head to bust 142 eggs, and he now officially holds a place in the Guinness Book of fucking retards. I think the reason I most look forward to China ruling the earth is that all of their last names sound like slang for cock. Sometimes I will meet a lady at a bar, got the same disease as I do, and I'll fuck her. He says to me, there's one way to wake her up, but it's a little unconventional. You go in there and you have oral sex with her. I said, by God. So I go in there, I'm in there about 5 minutes, and I come out. I said, Doc, she's choking. Why do dogs always race to the door when the doorbell rings? It's almost never for them. Like, I'm no expert, but I think probably most rapists are hypocrites. You have a boy. I know you have a boy. I know.
A boy and a girl, yeah.
Yeah, and but I know you have a boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A new report from the CDC states that only 1/3 of Americans use condoms, while 2/3 of Americans are still pretty cool.
Get out!
There is no problem big enough that a huge black cock cannot fix. Well, I guess the biggest thing that nobody knows about me is I'm a deeply closeted gay man.
What?
Orange is the new black, but not in my apartment building. Kevin is the new black. Hey, this occurred to me today. ID, which I had to show it again. There's a strange abbreviation when you think about it. I is short for I. And then D is short for dentification. Hey, for the 9th consecutive year, Nick, JetBlue Airlines ranked first for satisfaction among all North American airlines. But you know what ranked least in satisfaction? 9/11 Airlines. What a terrible name for an airline. It reminds me of that tragedy. Hey, how about this? The Dalai Lama said that killing in the name of religion is unthinkable. Hey, thanks, Dalai Lama. I'm sure everybody will fucking listen to you. No one listens to the Dalai Lama.
No one.
That just because I come in here, I order a Polish sausage, why would you jump to the fact that I'm Polish?
Right.
And the guy says to me, well, first of all, it's a hardware store. A new study found that men with beards are more attractive than men without beards. More great work from the University of Bob Seger. I don't care if a guy's a guy, a girl, a guy, girl, I couldn't care less. I love them all.
What do you make of...
I'll have sex with any of them.
Time.
Doesn't matter. So I say, hey, you see that pig, that cow, you know, horse? That remind you of any of your relatives? She says, yeah, my in-laws. I said, you dirty dog. Oh, wow! In Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between the Mavericks and the Thunder, Magic Johnson said that Dirk Nowitzki is playing like he has 3 legs, which is a nice way of saying he's playing like a black guy.
There's a real stream of consciousness thing happening here, Norm?
Yeah, it's called conversation.
Manifesto.
Who was the better man?
Okay.
Dr. Martin Luther King? Stalin. What do you call a gay boxer?
Huh?
What do you call a gay boxer?
Norm Macdonald.
No.
I'm excited. Hey, it's... So much. Have a seat, Norm.
Wow.
You've been so nice of you to stop by, and you.
Well, I want to drop by, show my respects, you know?
Well, you know, for you to bring a basket commemorating sort of the tough situation I'm in is really nice.
Yeah. Well, that's not what that is.
Well, what is this basket for?
Oh, this is an older basket. I procrastinate, as you know. And this is a basket I got you back in June.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Norm, you've had this basket since June?
Yeah.
I've seen you. You've been on the show like 3 times. Why didn't you ever give me the basket?
I keep forgetting it. But I wanted you to know I bought it. It was $60, and I wouldn't open it. I think it would smell.
Well,
there's a card also.
Yeah, I see that. It says congrats on it. That's terrific.
Oh, I don't know if can I read it?
Yeah, why not?
Congratulations, Conan, on finally securing your place as permanent host of The Tonight Show. That's something they can never take away from you. It is perhaps the shrewdest programming decision ever made by the NBC Brain Trust. Sure, the pressure is on, but if I know you, Conan O'Brien, miserable failure is not an option. You are the new king of late night.
Thank you.
Long live the king.
Let me ask you quickly. We haven't talked to you in so long. I want to ask you about your family.
My great family. I love them all.
How's your? We used to talk in the old days. You and I used to spin some yarns about Uncle Hector. How's Uncle Hector?
Oh, Uncle Hector. Uncle Hector.
He's Polish too, I'm guessing.
No, he wasn't Polish.
Oh, okay.
No, he was from my cousin's side of the family, and he was a great man, my uncle. You know,
Right.
he was an old fella. He actually rode the rails during the Depression.
Oh.
You know, he was a hobo.
Hobo.
As you might call him. I
Yeah.
don't like that term, but whatever.
Tramp or whatever.
Yeah,
what
he's a
have you?
tramp, Railroad bum. And, but he wasn't a bum. He was just out. He was a good, honest man during the Depression, searching for work.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he had no money, so he'd travel the country trying to find work, and he actually rode the rails. Uncle Hector, and he told me it was an interesting story. He'd go through. This was in Canada, and there's a town called Kitchener in Canada, and the railroad cops were tough, boy. They were tougher than real cops. You know, they had a law of their own. The railroad cops.
I feel like I should be tucked into bed listening to you. Anyway, a law of their own, those railroad
Yeah.
cops.
But there was not a railroad cop tougher than Kitchener Leslie. Oh boy, he was well known. He was well known for beating hobos to death.
Really? He
yeah.
found a hobo on his train. He beat him to death.
Beat him to death. And so what the railroad bums would all do is, as Kitchener approached, of course. Oh, hey, hey, Norm, how you doing? So.
Wow, such focus on these stories.
That wasn't a mirror. That was another guy.
Okay,
named
oh, there's a
Norm.
guy named Norm.
Yeah. So the railroad bums would all hop off before they got to Kitchener,
Right.
to avoid being beaten to death by Kitchener Leslie.
Yeah.
Anyways, my Uncle Hector, a good man, you know, and he walked into a mine one day. This is a story for the that they think the young people could learn from.
Yeah, don't go mine hopping, kids.
During the height of the Depression, where there was absolutely no work, my Uncle Hector walked into I won't say the name of the mining company. It was McIntyre Mine, and he walked in. He had his lunchbox with him and his work boots, and he said, "Sir," he said, "I want a job." And they said, "We have no jobs." He said, "Well, 500 people work here at McIntyre Mine." He goes, "I don't think there are 500 men here better than I." He says, "As a matter of fact, I don't think there are 200 men better than I." He says, I think you'd be strapped to find 100 men better than I." And by golly, he got the job. What do you think of that?
That's a great story.
Now,
I'm sensing there's more. Now back to Kitchener Leslie.
Yeah.
The most dreaded.
No. Uncle Hector.
What?
No, we
I'm
wanna talk about
sorry, I'm
Uncle-
trying to help you out.
No, Uncle Hector.
Dad, where's this story going?
Uncle Hector worked in a mine, and it's a hellish job, the mine, as you well know. Darkness, you know.
It's dank. It's
Dank.
Yeah.
It's coaly. It's a lot of.
What?
Well, you're in a coal mine.
It's
you
not
get-
coaly. It's coal-ridden.
It's coal-ridden.
Coal-infested. It's not coaly.
It's coal infested. So he worked in the mine, and by God, he worked hard. And after a week of working hard, he said to the shift manager, he said, "By golly, I'd like to have a lady. I work hard, and where would I find a lady here in town?" Well, they said to Uncle Hector, they says, we have sex with animals here. By God, says Uncle Hector, I'm not going to do that. I'm a normal fella. Well, then be to your own devices then. So,
Be to your own devices.
yeah.
Wow.
Uncle Hector continued working in the mine. He worked hard, and he worked long, and he worked for a low wage. But he was a man. And Uncle Hector, after a couple of weeks passed, he started to get a little itch, as you and I say.
Right. Right. When we're thinking about the
ladies.
yeah.
And, but he kept it under control. He went again and he said, "Are you sure there's no ladies here?" "No, we have sex with animals." Ah, my God. 6 months passed and Uncle Hector couldn't take it any longer, he told me.
Right.
He said, "By God, I just had to, I'm just a man, I'm weak, I'm not a saint, and I was born in sin, I suppose, and I couldn't resist. I just needed it." So he said he walked by a pasture, and there was a pig.
Oh God.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And so Uncle Hector said, well, he said, "I walked up and I began having sex with a pig." And he said, all of a sudden, he saw all the miners around him, looking at him. They go, "Uncle Hector, what the hell are you doing over there?" And Uncle Hector's indignant. He's like, "What? Well, you're the guys that told me that you have sex with animals." They're like, "Uncle Hector, you damn fool. That's Kitchener Leslie's girlfriend." Of all the animals.
All the animals to have sex with.
You don't want to have sex
And now with Kitchener Leslie's pig.
girlfriend.
No, that's terrible.
Not Kitchener Leslie's pig. Kitchener Leslie's lady.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever done anything in your long and storied career that you consider specifically to be in bad taste as you look back on it? Maybe at the time you thought it was a good play, but you look back on it and you think that was in bad taste.
Well, sometimes, in stand-up, I'll do jokes that are like one time I was doing this thing in San Francisco, and they were all gay people in the audience. They told me, so I figured I'll
In
do.
San Francisco?
Yeah.
No.
So I figured I'd do stuff about gay people so that they could relate to
Yeah,
it.
it's warm up. They love that.
And so I was talking about, because I went to this gay pride parade, and I saw in it there were these old men and old ladies with these signs that said, "We are proud of our gay son," And so I was saying, that's an odd thing to be proud of, because it's not an achievement, it's not like something you work all your life to be gay or anything like that. And I just wondered, I had a hard time believing that these 50, 60-year-old men are actually bragging, at work they're, "Hey, Bill, my kid, oh my God, we're proud of him, Johnny. He graduated from Harvard, a first in his class, you know what I mean? Now he's articling over at a law firm, and, oh yeah, he loves cock. You know? This kid. He can't get enough cock in his mouth, his ass, this kid's always cock. I got a picture of the boy here sucking another man's cock. I want to show it to you. You're gonna be proud.
To watch the maturation of you as an artist, to realize it took you 9.5 minutes to get around to the sucking cock stuff. It's beautiful to see you comfortable in your own skin, Normie. All right.
No, I'll tell you why it's funny, man, because I was in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
I met a good old boy down there, and he said, he said, you know Andy Richter?
Yeah? Yeah, he did?
Yeah.
You met a guy in Georgia and he said, you know Andy Richter?
Oh, yeah, you guys do well there.
Oh.
And he said, I said, yeah. He said, have you ever heard of Andy Richter joke? I said, no. He said, well, most of it's based on him being Swedish-German. And then he told me an Andy Richter joke. And
Really?
But I didn't know he was Swedish-German. I thought it was all nonsense.
Yeah, well, now this lines up perfectly. Let me ask you something, because it sort of relates to the first...
Wait, don't you want to hear the joke?
No. Oh, you're down to 6. You're down to 6. All right, this joke will get you back up.
You can get him back.
Let's hear the joke.
Well, the fella says, he says, man, he says, you ever hear the time about the old prospector? That's how he talks, you know?
Yeah.
He says, man, there was an old prospector, and he was prospecting for gold, and he was having a hell of a time getting any gold. You know? It was an empty stake, I believe. And he said he'd come into town one day. He'd been in the mine for a good 8 months. He said, by God, he said, I'm only flesh and blood. Sure. Yeah. And I need a woman, you know. And so he goes into town. He goes up to the bartender. He says, bartender, he says, man, I've been in that mine for a hell of a long time, and I'm only flesh and blood. I need a woman. Well, the bartender says, hell, there ain't no women in this town. If you want to do any of that business, all we got is Andy Richter, the Swedish-German. The prospector, he says, no, he says, hell, I ain't into that funny stuff, you know. He says, I'll be fine. So he goes back to his state, you know, and he's back in that mine, man, and 6 months passes, and a year passes, and Conan, you know, people are weak. Man is made of flesh and pride, as the scriptures tell us, and by God, that old prospector finally broke to his knees, and he said, I'm no worse than he went back to the bar. Yeah. He was a beaten man. He says to the bartender, he says, hell, man, I've been in that place 2.5 years. A man has needs, and if you say there's no women in this here town, he says, well, I'll have to go for Andy Richter, the Swedish-German. But he says, listen now, he says, man, I'm a tough old hombre, you know, and I got friends now. He says, I don't want anybody to know about this. You know, this is back in the old days.
Sure, yeah.
He says,
I can tell by the accent, yeah.
He says, I got my cowpoke friends and so forth. I'd hate to hell anybody know about this. You know, this got to be all secret. Nobody. I say nobody can know about this. Bartender says, well, 4 people will know about it. How do you figure that? He says, well, he says, I'll know about it. He says, you'll know about it. Andy Richter, the Swedish-German, will know about it. And the fella that has to hold down Andy will know about it.
Why?
Why? Because Andy Richter, the Swedish-German, he don't go for that funny business neither.
Well, at least you left me my dignity.
Yeah.
I like the way that story ended.
Yeah, because you weren't gay.
Right. Well, but that's not beside the point.
You were raped.
No, it's more. It's more that I wasn't prostituting myself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was
You're
getting.
such a horrible man.
All I asked a cable, but it's still valuable airtime.
I don't know about that.
You know, in Georgia, they say there's a whole subgenre of Andy the Swedish-German joke. That's the guy told me.
Well, you know what? I asked you, how are you?
Yeah?
And you went into, I believe, a 48-minute joke.
Oh,
which
I'm sorry.
was fantastic, but now we have to take a commercial break.
Are you kidding me?
What do you, yes!
This is where we do jokes. This is a section where we do jokes.
Uh-oh.
It's kind of comic relief.
Okay.
So this is a topical joke about the flight, but you just read it. You don't read ahead.
Oh, no?
You can if you want.
Malaysian Flight 370 is still missing. You know where they're going to find it? The last place they look. The pilot's last words, I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on a motherfucking plane. That could be, yeah, that could be. You're giving me these great jokes, okay. Here's what I've learned. You beat up and toss one 19-year-old Hispanic hooker out of a moving car, and they never let you forget it. Isn't that true? That is funny. That's true.
both funny and true.
That's too dirty. Let's do a nice joke to clean it up.
Opinions are like assholes. Neil Patrick Harris wants to stuff... You should let me read this ahead. Opinions are like assholes. Neil Patrick Harris wants to stuff his cock in them. Oh, wait, that's just assholes. It didn't get a laugh, but I'm laughing. That's very funny.
Well, this Lindsay Lohan can't swim a stroke, but she sure knows every dive in town.
That one I liked. That was my favorite. I'm keeping this.
That is a favorite.
I read a story. A 17-year-old kid who stole a plane, crashed it, and survived. Why don't we make the whole plane out of that kid? That seems logical,
It
right?
makes sense, right? There you go. Adam Egan.
Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, but I invented the light bulb up my ass.
Always ahead of his time.
Oh, come on, man.
I used to think revenge was a dish best served cold, but then I realized it meant getting back at somebody.
Okay, now we'll see this joke. This
Made
is
me
a
laugh
joke.
again out loud. Just reading it to myself.
This show is so high quality that we take jokes from the dustbins.
Barbara Walters announced that she's retiring from The View. Well, actually, she announced it 5 years ago, but no one could hear her over those yammering bitches. See? Accomplished comedian.
What is accomplished?
Did you write this one?
This is not against it.
Accomplished.
This is not against anybody.
Accomplished comedian Sinbad has announced he's filing for bankruptcy for the second time.
The second time.
Oh God, it's so retarded. Sounds like things have gone from sin bad to sin worse.
A Florida University student was caught streaking on campus and apparently told police he was on acid and asked them to cut his dick off. Boy, these kids today are crazy. In my day, we didn't need drugs. We would just cut our own dicks off.
Yeah, you didn't need no fucking acid and shit. That's a good one.
I think my doctor might be retarded.
Why?
His name is Dr. Retardo.
Oh.
It's a good chance. One of the most popular documentaries on Netflix. One of the most popular documentaries on Netflix is Jiro
Dreams of Sushi?
Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
I've seen that. It's very good.
That's
You
a
have?
fantastic
Yeah.
documentary.
One of the least popular documentaries, Jiro Nightmares of Acid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That
Unwatchable.
I liked it, the DVD commentary.
This one's more like a factoid.
Danny DeVito looks like one of those guys with a short but thick penis.
Right? He has to have the thickest fucking cock.
It's true.
This reminds me of your kind of joke.
All right.
Just from hearing you read jokes.
Oh, I like this. I like the theme that this one has. A man in Taiwan reportedly cut off his own penis to win an argument with his wife. That reminds me of that episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, where Raymond forgot Deborah's birthday and had to cut his own cock off. Oh my God.
What about this? This is what you were talking about earlier, 42.
I love the movie 42. It's Chadwick Boseman like you've never seen him before. course, you've never seen him before. I get that.
Yeah.
Apparently, someone in Germany stole 5 metric tons of Nutella. Police haven't arrested anyone yet, but they are questioning Gunther Hogsbargen, the 700-pound man that smells like chocolate and hazelnuts, who guards the Nutella storage facility. That's funny.
Larry, you'll like this one.
Wasn't too bad.
Amanda Bynes is a lush blonde who's quickly turning into a blonde lush. See, I tend to laugh at my own. If you were a Russian prostitute on a date with serial killer Andrei Chikatilo, a.k.a. the Rostov Ripper, and he couldn't achieve an erection, that was not your lucky day.
No.
The Al-Qaeda online magazine Inspire has a recipe for a homemade bomb. They also have a recipe for a pretty darn good peach cobbler.
So they're not all bad, you know?
I crack up when I see a funny joke and I hear it. You know.
China's government has reported they have lost over 28,000 rivers in the past decade.
That's weird.
That is weird.
My theory is they sold it into the sordid world of underground river sex trafficking.
That's a really good punchline. A very suspect premise.
You know, I'm old enough to remember back to simpler, more innocent times when the worst thing you'd hear about the news was hijacked jetliners flying into buildings.
Oh, now, Gilbert, you're going to get into trouble again.
I spoke to Johnny.
Oh,
He loved it.
Was all right?
Yes.
I think there's nothing cooler than being a lone wolf, except at wolf picnics when you don't have a partner for the wolf wheelbarrow races.
There you go.
A new study shows that most men can identify a gay man by his face alone. It's the face that's buried in another man's asshole.
It's about your friend.
Hey, you're not going to believe this, but Bill Maher is giving away the solution to all our problems for free. He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
In my opinion, if we're going to fight the war on terror, a good place to start would be our country's haunted houses.
I feel that could be in your act almost.
Any of these could be in my act, and they will be. Tomorrow is National Secretary's Day.
Which is true.
Is that right? I plan on getting my secretary the same thing I always do, a big fat goosing.
The man behind the voice of Tony the Tiger. Sadly, the man behind the voice of Tony the Tiger died at 64. His last words, "I don't feel great." I gave it something. Yeah. Are these left over from when you did updates? Neil Patrick Harris posed nude for the cover of Rolling Stone except for a hat hanging off his wiener. And this morning, Adam Egat. Oh, is that your name? Fucking change it. Is it. And this morning, Adam woke up and said, "Hey, where's my hat?"
Sorry, Neil Patrick Harris' cock.
It's on his dick. Go get it.
It's there the whole time, man.
Playboy magazine has done away with the nude photo layouts altogether. In other words, they've eliminated ladies in the altogether altogether.
Oh man.
That's a sort of radio DJ joke, I feel.
The way you
know what I mean? We have to
your
deliver
voice.
it
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
right?
delivered it.
In other words,
amazing.
they've eliminated ladies in the altogether altogether. Here's Taylor Swift.
When you're single trying to attract a partner, it's important to project the qualities you desire, which I understand, but boy, oh boy, have I had to suck a lot of dick lately.
That's sort of like a Bobby Lee joke.
It is a lot like a Bobby Lee.
All right. You know, you ever hear of steampunk?
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, there's a joke for you.
I wouldn't call myself a fan of steampunk, but I will say it's the healthiest way to prepare punk.
Do you diet sometimes?
I know, but do you
go on diets and stuff?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, so this is sort of a diet joke a little bit.
I'm so sorry.
No,
Boy, was it hot outside today. I went out to buy a California Pizza Kitchen signature pepperoni frozen flatbread, and by the time I got home, it was perfectly cooked and entirely eaten. 100% true.
Oh, you ate it. I've been on a lot of shows, but there's no better crowd than you right here. I'll tell you that
You're a pro. You're a pro. You came out here. You lit this crowd up.
I'm just telling the truth.
You're a truth teller. You got your book there?
Oh yeah. Let me read some of it.
You don't have to do. You don't have to do that.
That's rich. Look, I'll tell you something.
Yeah, what's up, pal?
This is not a memoir. It says a memoir on it.
Oh yeah, well, I thought this was a memoir. I thought this was.
No, it only says a memoir on it, but
Yeah.
it's a novel. I don't know. So, I was angry when it was in the nonfiction.
Yeah.
Because it's a memoir. It says a memoir. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's like if you bought Grapes of Wrath. You're like, hey, there's no grapes.
Yeah.
Or you put it in the grape section. That's smart.
Yeah.
Then everybody will find Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
People that like grapes.
Okay, listen, Norm, settle
What?
down.
Have I made my point?
You made your point.
If this was a memoir, if this were a memoir,
Yeah.
I would put juicy things from my own life.
Right. Right. Like, what kind of things would you put in there that nobody knows?
Well, I guess the biggest thing that nobody knows about me is I'm a deeply closeted gay man.
What? I mean, that's. You're a gay man?
I'm not gay. I said I'm deeply closeted. I'm as straight as an arrow.
So you're a gay man who won't admit it?
No. Do you know what deeply closeted means?
Yeah.
It means a man who will not acknowledge that he's gay.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, I'm not gay. I got a wife.
You got a wife?
I just got married because I thought, go through that charade, keep appearances up.
Oh, yeah. That's the kind of thing you tell if this were a memoir.
If this were a memoir.
Right.
If this were a memoir, I would tell about my wife. What a battle axe.
Battle axe?
I mean,
no one's called their wife a battle axe since 1945.
Listen, come. How do you feel about a woman? She's supposed to be my life partner. I look in the mirror the other day and I says to her, honey, I look in the mirror and all I see is a fat, ugly old man. And I need you to give me a compliment. She says, all right then, your eyesight is damn near perfect. I said, you dirty dog.
You called her a dirty dog?
A dirty dog.
A dirty dog.
We have fights constantly.
Oh, you do you?
Oh, and sometimes it bleeds over. Like we were driving in a car. We went past a bunch of animals. There was a pig, a cow. And I admit this is a little cruel.
You were kind of mad at her at the time.
I was mad at her. So I said, hey, you see that pig, that cow, a horse? That remind you of any of your relatives? She says, yeah, my in-laws. I said, you dirty dog.
Oh, wow. Wow. Dirty dog again. Wow.
I tell you, until I met my wife, I always felt incomplete. Now I'm finished. But I will say this.
What is going on?
No, I will say this.
What is going on?
I will say
this. This is
this.
a 1935 radio show.
Henny Youngman, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
What's that you say there, Norm?
Let me see.
Norm, what's that you say? Tell us more, Norm. We're going to take a break for Chesterfield figurettes.
Well, let me say something more modern and stylish then.
Okay.
My wife went into a coma.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And the doctor said to me, you won't hear this from any 1935 comic. He says to me, there's one way to wake her up, but it's a little unconventional. You go in there and you have oral sex with her. I said, by God. He says, I've seen it work. I said, well, I'm willing to try. So I go in there. I'm in there about 5 minutes, and I come out. I said, Doc, she's choking. But that's modern medicine for you.
That's modern medicine. We're going to take a break. I'm going to find out what's happening here.
That's modern.
We're going to take a little break here. Here's a message from the good people at Bosco Chocolate Syrup. We'll be back. More Norm Macdonald after this.